Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Thrive Co-Living Communities YouTube podcast. I'm Mark Stein, Thrive founder and your podcast host. We're creating sustainable, inclusive, and multi-generational residential communities. Our mission is to combat the epidemic of isolation, revitalize communities, and help others discover the many benefits of engaged community living by offering unique and ecologically sustainable co-living options. In this podcast series, join us as we discuss co-living, in addition to bringing you interesting people from around the world who are doing cool things to expand your knowledge and satisfy your curiosity. Through this podcast, learn more about our concept and see how Thrive co-living communities will bring together people from all walks of life who want to enjoy the best of independent and group living. To find out more about us, please visit our website at thrivecolivingcommunities.org. Thanks for watching and enjoy the podcast. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Thrive Co-Living Communities podcast. I'm your host, Mark Stein. At Thrive Co-Living Communities, we're all about creating inclusive, accessible places and resources for all people. This includes websites, which can often be difficult for people with disabilities to navigate. I'm here today with Erica Cohen, a success manager with Accessibee. Accessibee is a company that develops technological solutions designed to make websites more inclusive and accessible for people with disabilities like vision loss, motor difficulties, and epilepsy. Thanks for joining me today on the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. Excited to chat.
All right. So let's start with a how-to, or what is it in general? Talk about the development of the site and the tool. Just give us a good intro.
Yeah, awesome. So web accessibility it's a set of rules, behaviors, code standards, and design guidelines that were created by the WCAG. I'm sorry, by the W3C, which is now called the WCAG 2.1. What that is an 1,000-page guidebook explaining what accessible websites look and operate like to help people with disabilities, which makes up 20% of the population. So as Mark had discussed earlier, disabilities covered are blind people using screen readers, motor impaired using only the keyboard to navigate, epilepsy, color blindness, cognitive and learning disabilities, visual impairments, and more. The WCAG at the AA level has been adopted by governments around the world in legislation, such as the ADA Title III, Section 508, AODA, EN 301549, and many others. That's where Accessibee came in and said, there is a problem, we need to give a solution. And what makes us, so special and different is that we are truly a set it and forget it, system, right? So once you put it on your website, you don't have to worry about it, adding something on. You wouldn't have to worry about going back in the back end or the user experience and updating it. It does it automatically for you. And we're also remediating it every 24 hours. So again, you don't have to worry about, your site having that issue.
So it automatically updates if you add new content, new pages, etc. The system sees that update and makes the changes automatically.
Correct. So let's say you were to add like a new social media site on there, or even a new GIF or video, it's automatically going in. And, if you were to put the epilepsy widget on the website, it will automatically stop the new videos, the GIFs, whereas maybe someone that had a system on there that isn't fully remediated or isn't um automatically updating it might still have a flicker or a GIF or a light, which, is very disruptive towards that person with that disability.
Now, this is not just a nice thing for companies to do. This is the law. Talk about that a little bit. And people, my clients that I've mentioned this to, have been surprised by this. I don't think it's common knowledge. It certainly is with web developers, but it's not common knowledge with the general public. Talk about
Right.
what the law is and what the requirement is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you know, the ADA compliance lawsuits are on a crazy rise as well, 300% every year. Reports of thousands of lawsuits and demand letters turning businesses of all sizes, from enterprise to small, medium businesses to mom and pop shops, right? I think a lot of people get confused that, oh, I'm a small business, no one's going to come to me, but it's, true that they are targeting you just as well. And really this trend began to skyrocket in 2018 after the Department of Justice officially affirmed that websites are considered a public accommodation and therefore must comply with the Title III of the ADA. As a result of that, 3 years ago, we saw over 260,000 demand letters, and we've seen, that increase 300% every year since. So, by having this on your website, you're kind of having I always like to refer to it as like an ADT sign, like having security outside of your outside of your house. So like a robber can't get in, right? Or they're more high alert. So, and not only that, I think one thing to kind of explain it is that, some people say, oh, well, like what makes it, a public accommodation? Like anywhere is a public accommodation, right? It's the same thing as having a wheelchair ramp entering your physical store. Same thing as putting it on your website. And as we saw, especially with 2020, everything moving digitally and everything moving online, it's the exact same thing as putting that on your store by putting it on the internet, especially with everything going fully digital. I mean, doctor's appointments are made online now, grocery shopping is done online now. Why would you not have it on your website? So, yeah.
Um, I looked recently to see if I could find set prescribed penalties, and I thought that I had seen some the last time I looked, but I did not see penalties for first offense, that sort of thing. Can you enlighten us about that?
Well, what I would say is that the penalties would be that these lawsuits are happening and they could be, I mean, anywhere from 30,000 to, $300,000 lawsuit. So that is the penalty, is that you could be in this huge lawsuit. And obviously we don't want any of these businesses to get taken out, but unfortunately these lawsuits can take them out. So putting an easy widget on your website that also brings you a lot more value and benefits is going to prevent you from, those lawsuits. And one thing I will say that we also additionally give to you is a litigation support package, which is something that nobody else, in the industry gives. It's a set of, paperwork and guidelines and whatnot explaining what our widget does. And, we've never had anybody successfully sue us using that litigation support package. And I can go into that further detail, if you have any more questions.
Okay. We're going to take a look at the user interface in a little bit, but just to jump ahead a little bit, there is an icon that's universally recognized as a site for disabilities that is ability um, compliant, disability
Hmm.
compliant. And so I would imagine that a lawyer, predator lawyer, who is going after people, when they see that icon, and I have seen it for a couple of other types of accessibility um, uh, platforms, that when they see that, they're just going to keep moving and go the other way because they know that at least there's a significant attempt, if it's not you, um, to mitigate that. So I have real world experience with this. One of my clients who is has some uh, accommodations was threatened by a lawyer, and she, of course, did not know anything about it at the time. And this was pre-COVID, so
Hmm.
probably 2018, 2019. I didn't know anything about it. I wasn't aware of you, if you were in existence back then, but we did some remedial work according to the guidelines, but she was still not. I mean, that got her uh, out of that situation. Although she did pay, I think she settled for around $5,000.
Hmm.
So definitely on the low end of the spectrum, but it was very painful for her. And she probably spent several $1,000s with us upgrading the site, but it was not nearly as comprehensive as what you provide with Accessibility.
Right.
So I'm here to tell you, and she was very small. She has about 16 cottages um,
Hmm.
in Tampa Bay, and they found her and definitely went after her. Talk about some of the tactics that these attorneys use to go after websites that are not accessible.
Yeah, that's a great question. So honestly, it's they they don't discriminate. It could be anybody from a business that has 5,000 employees, very high-end brand, or it could be a mom and pop shop that literally has three clients. As long as, a lawyer can see that there's not an ability, to maybe have like a blind user and have a user or a screen reader on there. They really can go after anybody and everybody. There are specific industries that are hit harder. For example, the healthcare industry is hit very hard, which obviously makes sense because a lot of people are going on the website to book an appointment. If you're not able to get on and book a doctor's appointment, if you're blind, it sort of just doesn't really align with, the healthcare industry, as well as real estate. Insurance is pretty high, as well as real estate is pretty high as well. Um, all different types of Shopify accounts or anybody that's kind of like selling something on there, because again, you're not allowing, 20% of the population to go on, purchase, do that. So it's really not discriminated towards anybody. It's just any, type of person on there. And that's why we really don't even we reach out to everybody and anybody, because we've seen so many different people been hit.
Mhm. This just occurred to me. Um, I've got several clients in the yoga, Pilates,
Hmm.
massage space, and sites like that usually have a plug-in or a related booking system
Hmm.
that's not part of their website. So when you go to schedule and pay, you actually go off their site. It's not apparent, but to book your event.
Hmm.
So that's not going to if that booking site is not accessible, then that's not going to get the client home free, is it?
Right, exactly. Because, as you think about it, is like, why, does a blind person or even somebody maybe with cognitive learning or something have, like, why are they not able to use the internet just as much as we are? They should have, freedom to do everything we are, like booking a yoga class or a massage or a haircut or a doctor's appointment or anything. So, when you really think about it and breaking it down into saying like 20% of the entire population, which is over $3 trillion of, money that's just left on the table. It's crazy to think that 20% of the population doesn't have access to certain daily things that we do every single day, and that's, so simple when you think about it, but to not have those abilities is crazy. So that's, where we come in and really just make it a very easy user experience.
So any of my clients that are in that space where they have a separate booking system, then they need not only to put accessibility on their site, but also to go to that vendor and say, "Hey, I've made my site accessible. Yours is not. I'm going to get hosed if I get uh, queried about it. So you need to make your site accessible as well."
Exactly.
Okay. So let's um, let's go ahead and show the platform. I'm
Okay.
going to share my screen, and this is a client that we just completed a website for. And when I mentioned it, and um, let me just go ahead and talk about price so I don't forget. So
Perfect.
our um, our charge for this is a one-time fee, setup fee of $100, and then $5.99 per year. So that's all it costs for really good insurance against lawsuits. So let me share my screen and share this website. And this is a tent studio. We just completed it within a month or so ago. Uh, by the way, we're really pleased with how it turned out. It's a beautiful site. Um, so we're really pleased with that. And then here is the accessibility icon down here in the bottom right. And this is a universal symbol, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just going to click it. And then Erica is going to just show us a few things on how this works. And this was a quick installation, and once we install it, we don't touch it again. The the widget continues to monitor any changes to the site and update it. So walk us through some of these features.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just have you click on them so we can show everybody. But yeah, just want to talk about the interface quickly is that it includes both, accessibility profiles and enhancement features. Excuse me. So these profiles enable users with disabilities to instantly adjust the entire website to their specific disability. All profiles are designed alongside people with disabilities in adherence to the WCAG. So that's one of my favorite features is that we didn't just, make this up out of thin air. We actually work directly with people that have each of these disabilities to make sure that they are handling everything that they need to monitor the website and, go through it with their needs. So for example, if Mark, you'll enable the seizure safe profile, as you can see, it immediately stops all moving objects and tones down potentially dangerous colors. If you scroll down a little bit more too, just so we can see, if there's any flickering GIFs, automatically that'll stop as well. So that is, great for them. It enables them to go through the website without having any type of emergency or something that they would have to deal with. If you will now click
Well,
on another.
hold on just a second.
Yeah, of course.
Let me turn it off and back on so that we can really see the
Yeah,
change.
and if
So
you
it
want to
really,
click down to the video at the bottom, that's a great way to show.
uh,
I'm sorry, I think the video is at the top.
oh, um, do you mean this scrolling?
Yeah, something was moving, I noticed.
Yeah, right here.
Okay.
So it's off. So it should start. This is a carousel, so it should start moving again. Whoops, I clicked off of it. You know what? Evidently it stopped. I like how these are different profiles. So there's the ability, and you'll show us some of these individual
Yeah.
settings down here, but this up top sets a profile so that it makes a series of changes that are helpful for the person with that type of disability. What else do you want me to show here?
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to mention too is that, let's say you're putting on the seizure safe profile, you put that on and the website will stay on that. So the next time you come back to the website, you're totally good to go. It will be on that, it will stay on that website like that. So it's already automated for you. So I have a prime example. I get chronic migraines. I think I explained this to Mark when we first met. They're awful. I would never wish them upon a, worst enemy. But so I like to use the seizure safe profile often because let's say I'm booking a doctor's appointment, if I need to go in and see my doctor for my headaches, or I'm just trying to shop online, I always have my website saved to seizure safe profile because, I am very sensitive to light and videos and stuff. So when I have those migraines, I'm still able to go through the web and handle my day-to-day business even if I have a lingering headache. So always like to mention that. But the other profile I wanted to show is if you just click on the vision impaired profile. Yep. So as you
Wow.
can see, enabling this scales the content by 100% and increases the website saturation, and the font will be changed to a more readable font. In case fonts like the title, as you can see, those titles may like they could be smudged or due to spikes for certain people. So those are more enhanced for people with vision impairment.
Here, let me do this section and do that again. Okay, see, look at the white background to make that
Yep,
text stand out better.
exactly.
Okay,
And you can see the high noon exactly is more enhanced for those people.
okay. What's next?
Yeah, let's show the ADHD profile real quick because I think this one is personally one of my favorites. I think it's super cool. As you can see here, that it actually scales the content and adjusts the saturation alongside a reading mask. This reading mask is very popular. It just helps to make things more focused when people are looking through a website. So super, super cool enhancement. I know people really love that one.
So you can just focus on a particular aspect of the site and not be overwhelmed if you have ADHD.
Exactly. And this is even a feature that you can bring on, and I'll show at the bottom. If you just want the reading mask, I know certain people, like my mom, for example, she can get very distracted by things on the internet and whatnot, and she doesn't, have a diagnosis of ADHD. But let's say she just wanted to focus specifically on one thing, she might even put the reading mask on just for her personal use.
Okay.
So anyways, if you want to scroll down to the bottom of the interface, yeah. So in addition to the profiles that we have, you can actually choose specific adjustments where you can see it'll increase the fonts if they're too small, or as you can see, if you just want to click a few of those, Mark, yep. So that's going to increase the font. You can have the spacing different or the height or alignment. So again, I always like to say is that, how people have different fonts on their iPhone, particularly maybe some people have a bigger font or a smaller font or however you want it, that's best for you to have the best user experience. You can do that same feature by using Accessibee's interface.
Let me
You
see.
can
I think there
even
was a reset. Okay. So, like, if we don't want to go back and change these, then reset.
exactly, yep.
Whoops.
No worries. You can just go back to the widget and then just do reset settings. Yep. And then if you want to click like text magnifier or adjust the lines, I know I sometimes like to just change my font to bigger. Um, it's a great feature just to make, again, that user experience what is best for you.
So, this is a text magnifier.
Yep. You can also change it to, if you click back on like monochrome mode, that also, if you go down to the bottom, will change the colors. If you keep scrolling at the bottom a little bit more down, yep, that's where you can change it to, I have everything on dark contrast, so that's one of my favorites. But yeah, you can kind of play around with whatever is best for your needs. And yeah, it's just kind of like an on the fly feature, which is really great because you can, again, make it super fun. One other thing I want to show that I think is one of my favorite features is the online dictionary. If you scroll up to the top in the widget, and you click in that online dictionary, let's just say you wanted to put in binge watching. So, Netflix or something. We like to use this as an example. It helps people with cognitive and learning disabilities to kind of understand certain phrases that you might encounter on the page. So if you click binge watching, exactly, it's going to give you a definition right there of what it means. So great tool. Especially with different slang going around or Gen Z talk. It's always good to know that you have that feature there.
So, somebody that has a cognitive disability or even a stroke victim that
Right.
cannot recall, then they could use that. I
Exactly.
like this too, where you can change the text colors. So this changed, let's see, cancel. This changed this white to blue.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it can change colors wherever they find them. No, no, it's changing certain text colors to that color.
Exactly. Yep.
So that if somebody is colorblind, they can Is that where they would do things?
Yep, yep. You could change the color to whatever color, you might see more of.
Okay. So that's background colors. Changing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one other thing I wanted to show, which I think is a really cool process, is obviously this is the user interface, but we also have the AI process. So that's the background process, and that's where the AI actually kicks in. The magic happens, really cool stuff. So this process is actually responsible for handling all of the complex accessibility requirements, which we explained earlier. So related to keyboard navigation and screen reader adjustments. So what I'm going to have you do, Mark, is actually, so people with motor impairments activate adjustments by clicking the tab button. So you can actually get out of the widget right now.
Okay. Let me be sure I reset everything. Okay.
Yep. And then you're gonna click tab, and at the top
Just click my tab.
or actually what I'm gonna have you do is do Alt 1. Did it
Um,
make a little beep?
Alt number one.
Alt 1, yeah.
Okay. It looks like it did do something here.
Okay, so what you're gonna do now is just click, so what it does is it actually turns on the adjustments for blind users. They receive a message letting them know that the site is now accessible to their screen readers, and the interface icon now will show a check mark, as you can see at the bottom. And so now you can simply start navigating the entire website by just using the keyboard. So what you can do is trigger open the quick navigation menu. So if you go to the top, excuse me, and just start clicking tab.
Click my tab button.
Yeah, click tab and it will start to move. Yep, there you go. See, and that is where it adjusts it for the blind users to use. So now that they can fully use it with their screen reader, which is a really, really cool feature.
Okay.
So it'll show you that all the website's links, forms, buttons, and menus are really easy navigable. And my apologies, I always pronounce that word wrong. As well as it can trigger, as you can see, drop downs. You can even navigate sliders or trigger pop-ups by only using the keyboard, which is really, really cool. And all you have to do to close that is click the escape button, and then you can continue navigating from where you left off.
Okay. I clicked escape.
It's really cool. There's a bunch of other back end stuff too with image recognition. The widget does it all for you as well, which is it's awesome. I always like to say, I'm sure I said this earlier, but it's that set it and forget it feature, right? Like you don't ever have to go in the back end. It's remediating everything on your website for you every 24 hours. So it really is a great feature. We do have different languages if you want to, change the language as well. Now, we'll only change the language in the widget, not the entire website.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
My partner Isabella is from Brazil, so
Oh, amazing.
she would appreciate that.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, any other, questions from you, Mark, about the widget?
No, it's very self-explanatory,
Mm-hmm.
and I've demoed it for quite a few clients. Let's just see if there's anything else that was interesting. So here's a black cursor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what is, let's see, reading guide. Oh, huh. So just to move it around, this would be like ADHD where you have trouble focusing.
Exactly. Yep. I always say I really wish I had that during school. It would
Yeah,
have been so helpful.
it would be good for small text so you can follow
Mm-hmm.
along on that.
Absolutely.
Stop animations, highlight hover. Oops. What is highlight hover? I did activate that. Uh, Here it is. What does that do? Highlight hover.
If you want to click on it, I think you can hover over. I like hover. Yep. And then click over something and it should like hover over for you. Let me take a look as well.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything.
Um, let's see. Huh. I don't know why it's not showing on mine. Um, well, if anybody has a question on that, they can always reach out to me and I can answer that for them. We're
Okay.
always adding new things, so sometimes, I learn something new every day too.
Okay.
But yeah, also I just wanted to mention too that like not even does this having accessibility on your website, do the right thing, bring value to your website, but it also helps with SEO. And I know me and Mark have spoken about that in the past, but it helps to increase your SEO rates, which is huge. There's a bunch of articles that I know I pass on to Mark that he can send over to you all as customers, that it can increase, your target audience. It can also increase your longstanding customers, as well as increase that SEO, meaning that it will, help also avoid bounce rates as well. There's a ton more value add that adding accessibility adds on besides just, obviously our main purpose is to helping the web become more accessible day by day. But the value add that it brings is so much significantly greater than that, by even just, you know, adding by giving 20% of the population an ability to go onto your website, is bringing in more ROI, bringing in good DEI, as well as, many more things. So just wanted to add that in.
Does Google reward you with its listing for you on the web that it is accessible?
That's a great question. I would have to double check on that for you. I'm not sure with Google, but we do with our reports and certain tiers, we do give Google Analytics.
Okay. You know,
Yeah,
I was thinking that something that would encourage people to do it, to add this, would be if there was like an accessibility symbol in Google's listings when you come up, when your website comes up,
right,
so that you could know just by looking at the listing. Um, and sounds like it hasn't gotten that far, but
right.
you might want to, or your company might want to petition the search engines to do some sort of designation. Because
Yeah,
if a person is looking for a site and they see one that's accessible and the other that's not, then they're going to prefer that one that's accessible.
right. No, 100%. I'll definitely bring that to them.
Good luck reaching somebody at Google to get them to do it, but
Yeah, right.
um, with some of my clients, like the Pilates clients, I've got some therapy clients, therapist clients.
Hmm.
Um, this is really something that makes a statement to their client groups, uh,
Right.
because we we want to support people that have disabilities. People naturally do. There's a natural sympathy for that. And this is a way to put that in action and really make a strong statement to your general audience. Hey, we're inclusive, we're accessible, and we want people, especially with the yoga and massage, you know, that's that's an audience that they want. And 20% is pretty shocking to me, that 20% of the population has some type of disability. So this is, in addition to the legal aspect and the financial aspect of the insurance by having this is just something that I think a lot of businesses want to do. And when I approached the owner of the High Noon tent site that we demoed,
Hmm.
it was like a no-brainer for him.
Right.
I want to make that statement to my customers.
Agree. I think that's something that I speak on all the time is that it's almost 2024, which is crazy. And, it means like, I think when you're working with a company that is diverse, cares about diversity, inclusion, and equality, it makes a statement for the company, right? And so being, giving that option to everybody in the world, like giving them that basic human right, it shows a lot about the company and their values and who their customers want to work with. And so I think that it's like a statement for the company. It means like a lot to their customers. And I know for me at least, what drew me to wanting to work here is I was shopping on a bunch of websites that had accessibility on there, and I was like, wow, they actually care about their customers. They care about their customers' needs and wants, and actually care about them as human beings, not just a dollar sign. And so I think that is something that, is huge, and it is, it's amazing to see that it is such a big part of our world right now. So, I'm just glad to see the arrow moving forward, not backwards.
Talk a little bit about the company, the founders, how they got started with this, how long it's been in existence. Give us some background of the company and talk about your background and how you got to Accessibility.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I've actually been here. So I'll start with me, and then I'll kind of go into more of or I guess I can start with the company. So, um, I think what happened was that they saw a need, right? And there's not many companies doing what we do, which I think is really cool. And they saw a need and something that was necessary for the tech industry and was like, we want to fix this. So, we have about 200 employees, I think now,
Wow.
and over 2,000 customers. We work with some really high-end names, anywhere from we work with like high-end beauty skincare brands to I feel like since I'm on the spot, we work with Mario Badescu, which is a beauty brand that's pretty big. We work with a lot of high-end names. We work at Tiffany.com. We work at Johnson and Johnson. We just signed on Acne Studios, which is a big high-end brand. We work with, I want to say, Dolce and Gabbana. So yeah, it's really cool, knowing that all these high-end brands as well, like, believe in us, but also that, these small brands too. Like I work with, people that are just bringing on mom and pop shops, which is great. So Accessibility, again, is a technology company working to solve the problem of web accessibility through AI. Our company has raised over $58 million into 2 rounds of funding. Most of our sales team does sit here in Manhattan. That's where I'm located. I've been here since April of 2022. I am a partner success manager here. So I work with different agencies like Mark's company, helping, customers again become more accessible so we can, see the web become more accessible day by day. Our goal is to eventually have everybody on the web become accessible, as we see it, as, me and Mark explained, is that so much value add, but also in the end is just helping everybody become, have the ability to do every single thing that everybody else can do without a disability. So, it's, we love it here. It's great. We have over 2,000 customers working with different people like Johnson and Johnson. We work with Tiffany.com, Dolce and Gabbana, a beauty brands like Mario Badescu. We work with some music brands like Jonas Brothers, but as well as a lot of mom and pop shops, bringing on day to day, because again, as we discussed, as these high-end brands are also getting hit, but also these smaller brands as well. So, yeah, happy to help.
I bet it makes you really proud as AI is exploding to know
Mhm.
that you guys were on the cutting edge of using this technology to solve this problem. So
Mhm.
the Chat GPT guys were working, but they had not rolled out anything. So you really, your founders were really on the cutting edge using AI to do some of these instant adjustments.
Yeah, I think what happened was that they, saw a problem and wanted to solve it. And so it's been really cool to be here and be firsthand and, helping out people like your agency and helping out your customers. So, it's been a really cool experience.
And Israel really has a good reputation in the tech sector for a lot of innovation. So
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me that it was an Israeli group of guys that created this.
Yeah,
So
they're so far beyond and ahead of us with technology. It's really cool.
yeah. Well, we've talked about a lot of things, and I really appreciate the time. But are there any things that you haven't gone over that you'd like to share?
I think we really hit everything. I so appreciate your time. This has been great. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you can find me on LinkedIn or go through Mark if you have any questions, but just happy to help and happy to again help, everybody become more accessible. And I think it's also something like I mentioned earlier is like you can use this tool by not even, having a disability. I use it every day. Again, I don't have a diagnosed disability. I do get chronic migraines, so I love it. But yeah, it's a great tool.
Well, we're really enthused about it too, and we promote it to all of our web customers, both past and present. It's not a huge profit center for us or for you, but it really is putting our money where our mouth is about support for inclusion,
Hmm.
diversity. So it's really putting into practice our values, and I think a lot of people value it and have not acted on it. And this makes it really easy for them to put their money where their mouth is, and
Agree.
at a very reasonable price. And I'll even we're in December of 2023, so prices can increase. But as of today, our price for it is $99 one-time setup fee and $5.99 a year. And we install it, and then fortunately, we don't have to touch it after that. We just
Right.
talk to them about renewals. So thank you so much, Erica. Um, let's wind up here. Thanks,
Cool.
thanks, Erica, for being on the show today, telling us more about Accessibility and website inclusivity. To learn more about Accessibility, please see her information down in the show notes. To learn more about Thrive Co-Living Communities, please go to our website, www.thrivecolivingcommunities.org, and find information below about supporting our podcast and the efforts. If you enjoyed the podcast, please be sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget that notification bell down at the bottom right, which lets you know when new episodes have been posted. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Erica, for joining us. And we'll see you next time on the Thrive Co-Living Communities podcast.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining us for another great episode of the Thrive Co-Living Communities YouTube podcast. To learn more about our mission and how you can support our vision of creating co-living communities worldwide, please visit us at thrivecolivingcommunities.org. To receive advanced viewings of our podcast and other exclusive content, find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Thrive Co-Living Communities. You can also learn more ways to support our mission in the show notes below. Amazon Smile, GoFundMe, Kroger, and our own Thrive Gear store, where you can buy t-shirts, hats, and many other items. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.